everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm sorry that I'm like really inconsistent at posting. I'm just really trying to get used to being a YouTuber. Like, not that I consider myself really a YouTuber, but I would love to be eventually. So yeah, in this video I'm gonna be talking about veganism. A lot of people always ask me why I went vegan, how I went vegan, how long I've been vegan. They ask me a lot of questions about it, and so I figure I should just tell my story. So when I was little, I actually don't even remember this story. This is how old it is. My mom was feeding me, obviously, just like whatever she cooked, which that day it was chicken. And I asked her what it was that we were eating, and she told me it was chicken. And I was like, I know, but like, what is it made out of? And she told me it's chicken, you know, like chicken. And I was like, chicken? Like a chicken, like the bird? And she was like, yeah. And I was like so terrified. I was like, why do we eat this? And so ever since then, I think I've kind of had like an inkling like about not wanting to eat animals, because I always remember being super picky, always like picking around the meat and being like very, very picky. Like I would only eat sides. And so once I got old enough, and actually when I was younger, people used to like make fun of me, like my cousins and like all this stuff, and they would like call me a vegetarian as like a diss, and I would get like so upset and like go up to my mom and cry and be like, they're calling me a vegetarian. And like I don't know why I thought it was offensive, but I was just young and like they were teasing me, so I don't know. But yeah, I did eventually start eating meat again. Like I wasn't just like a vegetarian since I was young, obviously, like I would have starved, but I would eat like chicken nuggets from McDonald's and like bologna and hot dogs. That's what I remember liking. And then I think like okay, so when I was in middle school, my gymnastics coach, who literally I've always looked up to, she's coached me since I was 6 years old, and I just like wanted to always just be just like her, like I still do. And she started being vegetarian and then vegan like very quickly, and obviously like I wanted to be like her, so I started just not eating meat. And it's like 2 weeks later, and I was like, hey Crystal, like I'm a vegetarian, I haven't eaten meat in like 2 weeks. And she was like, wow, that's so cool. I don't know if she like thought I would stick with it, but I did. So that was when I was in like 7th grade, and that's when I became vegetarian. I remember one of the last times I ate meat was in the school cafeteria, and I bit into a chicken sandwich, and the whole inside of the chicken sandwich was pink, and I was like, what is this? Like I was like, ew, what the fuck? And then so yeah, after that I was just like over it. And then so I was vegetarian for like so many years, and I always wanted to be vegan, but it was just so hard because like literally they sneak milk into everything. It's like so pointless. Like anything that could be so easily vegan, they're just like, let's put some whey in there, and it's just like, ¿por qué? But yeah, so for the longest time I was vegetarian. I went to college, still vegetarian. All through high school I was vegetarian. I always told myself, like once I got older, I was like, okay, I really want to be vegan. Once I start buying my own groceries, I'm gonna start my transition. So actually the summer before I moved into my first apartment, that was when I started like slowly making a transition into like more veganism, but like not really. Like I hadn't drank milk in years. Like I think I remember like going over someone's house in high school, and I was like a sophomore, and they brought me cereal and they had like regular milk in it, and I was like, oh, cereal, like without even thinking. And I took a bite, and I was like, oh my god, I was like so disgusted by it because I hadn't had regular milk in so long. I always drink like almond milk or soy milk or whatever. And so yeah, I was like sort of almost there. Like the transition wouldn't have been so hard. So over that summer I still ate eggs and cheese, but no milk, but I would try to keep it limited. And then once I moved into my apartment, when school started, that was when I started doing my own grocery shopping. And so every time I would go grocery shopping, I would only buy vegan stuff for myself. But like if I was out with my friends and we like got pizza, or like I was in gymnastics and we would have meetings, and if they would have like pizza at the meetings or like stuff like that, like I would eat it, but I would only buy myself vegan food, if that makes sense. So like if people are transitioning, I would really recommend that, just because it's like, okay, like at least you know you're working on knowing what to buy, what meals you can make for yourself, stuff like that. Like even if you're not already vegan, like if you're in the transition stage. So I was like that for a few months, and then I think like I saw something on Instagram of somebody wearing like a fur coat, and then I like swiped and saw the animal that they were wearing, and it like got me so mad, and I was just like, well, I can't get so upset over it if I'm still contributing to animal cruelty in that industry, whatever. So I was like, okay. It was like in that moment that I decided I'm just gonna be vegan. I'm done being a half-asser. So that was when I went vegan, and ever since then I've been learning more about it. And I feel like when I first went vegan, I was like, okay, I always said I'm gonna be vegan, so now I'm gonna be vegan. But I didn't actually know a lot of the things that I know now, like all of the benefits that come with a vegan lifestyle, which a lot of people think like, oh, I want to try a vegan diet. Like I feel like it's not a diet. Like it could be like if you're just like, oh, I'm gonna go on like a vegan kick. I just think that like it's an actual lifestyle. Like it's what you eat, it's what you buy, like what shampoo, conditioner, makeup, all of that you're using, what you wear. It's so much more than just a diet. It's legit, it's a lifestyle. So I started learning more about that. I started watching stuff on Netflix. A lot of the documentaries that they had back in the day, they don't have anymore. And by back in the day, I mean like 3 years ago. But one of my favorites was called Vegucated, and I don't know if you can still, I think you can still watch it like on YouTube, but you have to pay for it. But that one was on Netflix, and I think that one's like super informational, but it's also interesting and it's funny, and like it's got a good plot line, and like that one was my favorite one, other than like obviously like What the Health. That one everybody knows, and if you haven't watched it, you should. Yeah, so it was like I remember watching Cowspiracy in high school, which is so great, and I think that like more schools should be playing documentaries like that in like health classes and stuff. But I do remember watching Cowspiracy in high school, but I rewatched it once I had like more of like it like pertained to me more. So I started just like researching stuff on my own, Googling people that have been like really sick or like struggled with like diabetes, whether it's the type A or type B, and like the benefits of just a vegan diet overall. And it has so many health benefits. Obviously it is good for the animals, like if it's supply and demand, you know. And I feel like being like, since I've become vegan, I've just seen like such, even since I've been vegetarian, I've seen such a big change, and it makes me so happy. Like I hate impossible meat. I think it's so real and gross to me, like because I just don't like meat in general. But whenever I see it, I'm like, oh look, like it just makes me so happy that like we're taking those steps towards being more inclusive and being less dependent on just having like meat and dairy stuffed down our throats at all moments. Okay, so also there was like Forks Over Knives. That one is, I don't know if that one's still on Netflix, but I think that if you're in it for like the animals and you really want to be vegan, but like something's holding you back, you need to watch Earthlings. It's so hard to watch, but like once you've watched it, I doubt there's any way that you're gonna be able to eat that, like you're gonna be able to contribute to that industry anymore, because it's just so horrifying. Other than like the animals and obviously health reasons, I also used to break out really bad, which just still happens if I ever accidentally have dairy. I will break out, like I'll get like a cyst, I'll get cystic acne from it, and that's like super annoying. That's happened to me lots of times. I also like get diarrhea, but yeah, the pimples bother me more than that. Also now they have a new documentary on Netflix, which I think everyone should watch as well. It's called The Game Changers, And I remember watching, actually my dad was the one who showed me. He was like, let's watch this together. And then after he was like, I want to try being vegan. So like that's how I know if you guys watch that, you'll have a different like mindset and you'll be more open-minded towards even just like being, I mean, I just like, I don't know, like I feel like when the vegan community sometimes is really like judgmental and like one-sided, like you're either with us or you're against us. Like you can't be, like people will say like I'm vegan but like sometimes I'll eat cheese still, and the whole vegan community is like, oh no, you're banned, you're shunned, you're exiled. Like why? If that's part of their transition, it's better than nothing. Like I don't know, I just feel like I'm really accepting towards anything that people tell me. If they're like, oh, like I am inspired by you and like I only eat meat once a week now, I'm not gonna be like, well, you're still killing animals once a week. I'm not gonna, because then it's gonna make people like scared of the vegan community. So I just like support people in whatever stage of their transition that they're in, because that's the type of community that we should be. We should be supportive. We should be nice to each other. We shouldn't be, it shouldn't be a competition of like who's the most ethical and who's the most vegan. Like, I'm sorry, but like nobody is gonna go their whole life without ever killing even like a fucking ant or whatever. Like you can't drive without killing bugs in your car. So like why? I don't know. I feel like, do you guys get what I'm saying? I hope you do. I don't know. Don't feel bad if you fuck up, if you accidentally have cheese one day and you're like, oh, I didn't know there was cheese in that, or like whatever. Like just make sure you always read the ingredients. And if you forget one time and you mess up, don't be like, oh, I'm not vegan anymore, I might as well just eat a burger. Like no, if you want to stick with it, stick with it. Okay, you fuck up, then you just move forward and keep trying. Like I've messed up so many times, or like people have like accidentally poisoned me so many times, but you know, like it's not like, oh, gotta start from scratch, first day being vegan again. Like no, that's not how it works. But just do your research. Like if there's things that you care about the climate, then go vegan, you know, like that'll really decrease your carbon footprint. You're gonna be, I don't know the exact numbers because I have like the worst memory, but it's something like 400 gallons of water for like a burger. Like okay, then just skip on the burger. Look at that, 400 gallons of water you just saved. Now you won't feel so bad once you take a shower. Like there's people who are literally like, they'll do everything other than like stop eating meat or like stop eating dairy. Like they'll be like, oh, I ride my bike to work in negative 15-degree weather and I take 2 showers a week for 2 minutes and I drink water from the natural flowing well. Like all of that's great, but it's like, okay, like the one thing that's the easiest thing to do is just change your diet and it would make the biggest impact. That's the same thing with like people that are like, oh, like getting so mad at people who are activists who drive to other states or like ride jets. Like I don't know, like obviously that stuff's bad. Like any fossil fuels, they're bad, but like there's the same amount of carcinogens, or like what is it, like carbon or whatever, that's being released from animal agriculture. The information is all there. It's frustrating because there's things that are so obvious, but we're never told. Like the number one question for vegans, how do you get your protein? Why is that even like, I'm sorry, but have you ever heard of, be honest, have you guys ever heard of someone who was meeting the correct caloric like amount that they're supposed to have for the day, but they were protein deficient? Like that's not a thing. Obviously if you're like a huge bodybuilder and you're like a fucking football player, then you're gonna need more protein. But the fact of the matter is, protein comes from plants. Like any protein that you're getting from animals is secondary. So like they get the protein from eating grass and like all that, and then there's protein in their muscles, if that makes sense. So like if you think about like all the biggest animals, they're all plant-based. Elephants, giraffe, rhino, ox, like all of those animals, they eat plants, because in order to get that primary source of protein, the only living organisms that are gonna produce that, the only thing in the whole world that produces protein are plants. So that's why those animals are so big, because they're getting all the protein and it's going directly into their muscles. So honestly, if you ask me, getting protein from plants is a lot better than getting it from animals, which, don't get me wrong, you can get protein from animals, but then there also comes along carcinogens and fat in them, and it's like it'll clog your arteries, and like, so like if you're getting something that's like protein, but it also has fiber, and it also like is gonna clean out your organs so that you don't have like a clogged artery and die, like, I don't know why our like society wouldn't push that more. But then again, it makes sense because we make so much money off of people that are sick in this life. So I don't know, I feel like it's a rabbit hole that I could go down, but I'm not like the smartest, to be honest. Like I know like the idea, but I don't know like the actual like numbers or facts. So I don't know, but all I know is I love being vegan, and if you're trying to be vegan, then start your transition however you need to. If you need to start with cheese, taking cheese out of your diet, which people usually do that last because it's the hardest, but if you want to just like try pescatarian first, then vegetarian, like, don't feel bad about doing that. Even I joke about like, oh, I was like half-assing it, like, okay, yeah, I was, in my opinion, but like at the same time, I don't judge anybody for being in that stage, because I was too, and it's sometimes harder than it looks, because like when I first went vegan, I didn't know what I was doing. I actually got really sick, and I was literally told by a nutritionist to my face, you are starving yourself, and that was so scary for me to hear, but it made me realize that like I need to be conscious now. I'm trying this new lifestyle that I am not really sure about, so I needed to learn more about it. So I started using a tracker, so I would track everything that I ate, and it would give me like it had like a bar, and you would have to like raise it all the way up, so like I would just keep on eating until I met like my caloric intake, until I hit like all the nutrients that I needed for the day, and like the protein and like all of that. But there's a lot of apps like that, like if you just look up like calorie tracker, like food tracker, like anything like that, those are really, really, really helpful, because you can take a picture of everything that you're eating and it'll tell you all the information about it. So yeah, this is like, I'm rambling and it's kind of all over the place, but I just know that a lot of people are curious about being vegan, and I just want people to hear from someone who's not gonna like shove this down their throat and like make them feel bad, because like I don't want people to feel bad for eating meat or eating dairy. Like, if you look into it, if you want to know more about it, you should. Like, I think everybody should, and I think that like slaughterhouses should have windows instead of being fucking secluded in the middle of nowhere, because I think people deserve to know what they're eating. I think that people deserve to know how that food got onto their plate, or how that leather jacket got to be on their bodies, you know, like people deserve that, so that they can make a conscious decision on whether or not they want to support that. And so I think that it's really, really important to do that research on your own, because it's never ever going to be disclosed openly by those companies, because obviously they know that they wouldn't be making money off of it anymore. Hi Saki, I love you. Talking about this makes me want to love her even more. So yeah, you guys, if you want to be vegan, go for it. Your transition doesn't have to be the same as mine. I slowly started cutting things out, slowly started taking steps, started cutting things out, and then once I decided that I was ready to let it all go, then I never turned back. And if you're ready for that, then you have my support fully. And I don't really know what other information I could give about veganism, but if you guys have more questions, I would never mind making another video. Like, this is like my favorite thing to talk about. So yeah, you guys, go vegan. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you made it this far, I know it was like all over the place. Thank you guys so much, and I'm sorry that I post so inconsistently. I'm gonna try to That's like my New Year's resolution. I need to be better at posting more videos. So yeah, here's to a new video and more to come. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, and you guys can follow me on my social medias, which will be in my outro. See you guys later.